Sonic Prime Season 2 is finally here. Let's talk about it.
Hey, listen! It's too late for a
I said,
Let him have it, Mac.
Sonic Prime Season 2 was much better than the first season in my opinion. Where the first season had a rather repetitive nature, the second season keeps things pretty fresh for the most part, while still having the same pattern of events where Sonic basically spends the entire season just chasing after the Chaos Council and trying to recover the parts of the Paradox Prism. But I like the chase this season has infinitely more than what was done in the first season. As I've stated before, I personally believe that Sonic Prime is the best Sonic show due to its focus on actually being a Sonic show. I still don't think it's my favorite series as my love for Sonic X has yet to dwindle, but in terms of overall quality, the second season has easily solidified itself as the best the franchise has done yet. Unfortunately, there are some issues that carry over from the first season. For example, Sonic's character still bugs me greatly at times. While I think he is much better in this season than in the first, I still found him to be overbearing at times and just saying things he wouldn't or shouldn't say. I mean, I think what I find weird about Prime in general is that Sonic is a growing character. I've always seen Sonic as someone who's already at a point where he doesn't necessarily need to grow as an individual, and I mean that in the best way possible. Sonic is confident in himself, his abilities, and just overall who he is and what he wants to do. However, even though Sonic is a character who doesn't go through changes, he inspires and changes the views and perspectives of others, forcing them into natural character development. While Prime's iteration of the character inspires growth in all of those whom he comes in contact with, he most definitely has a character arc. It's not bad, but just as a personal preference, it's not something I would care to see ever again. I also really do not like how even in this season, the dynamics between other characters outside of Sonic is either completely ignored or not given that much time. I think this series really had something going there with Nine and the entirety of the Chaos Council. I hope it's expanded upon in later seasons, but their interactions just leave you wanting more. Other than that, I found this season to be pretty darn good. I think each episode had a certain flair to it that had me hooked even if it was following a similar pattern. I enjoyed how fundamentally important it was in Season 1 for Sonic to develop those relationships with multiversal versions of his friends so that he could rely on them here in Season 2. It's one of those it's all coming together moments that I can really appreciate. Speaking of appreciating things, I would really appreciate it if you left a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. But anyway, the best part of this season for me was easily anytime Shadow is on screen. I don't think he had a bad line, and I feel like he was really overpowered, which I enjoyed. I mean, the first episode is basically just him and Sonic fighting, and you get to really see how the two of them view each other and their dynamic. I made a video a while ago talking about what the relationship is like between these two characters, and not to pat myself on the back, but I think I pretty much nailed it. Later in the season, in like the last episode, you can see just how cool Shadow is because unlike Sonic, who basically just fights head on with no tricks or gimmicks, Shadow uses actual fighting tactics and constantly outsmarts his opponents, which makes this really cool to me because watching Shadow fight you would think would be the same thing as watching Sonic fight, as they could have easily gone down that route, but instead they intertwine the characterization of Shadow into his maneuvering, which is just awesome. I think a lot of people get it confused that just because Shadow and Sonic have similar powers means they have to do everything the same, which is totally not true. I remember when people were saying that Shadow could be an Echo Fighter for Sonic and Smash, and while I was okay with that idea because I thought it was probably the best we could get, Shadow could have easily gotten his very own moveset. To make a long story short, if you watch this show for no other reason than just the Shadow moments, I completely understand. He is the best character in this show, and I'm not saying that just because Shadow's my favorite character in the franchise. Another great character and even just dynamic is Nine and Sonic. There's a scene I really love where Nine is able to see the Tails in Ghost Hill, and he's just shocked that Sonic mistaked him for being Tails because the two of them are quote-unquote nothing alike. But in reality, they're just two sides of the same coin, but Nine is so stuck in his mindset, he is unable to see just how similar the two really are. That said, I think the writing for Nine has been amazing since the first season. You can see he has grown a lot since first meeting Sonic, but even then, he still has this major disdain for nearly everybody else who isn't Sonic, and by the end of the second season, that quickly changes. Nine is like the perfect Sonic villain in the making, and I cannot wait to see it happen. If you've been closely paying attention to the series, there have been multiple times where Sega has tried to put Sonic and Tails against each other in combat. In Sonic Colors, there's that one scene where Eggman basically has Tails under mind control, teasing a battle between the two characters, but ultimately, nothing happens. In the entirety of Sonic Lost World, the two are basically at each other's throats because Sonic's lack of trust in the two-tailed fox. Near the end of the game, we see this robotic hybrid form of Tails who is seemingly under the control of the Deadly Six, but much like Colors, we were teased. I made a whole video about these occurrences and going over them in greater detail if you want to check that out. But anyway, I'm really excited for Season 3 because it looks like the tease is over. It looks like Tails, or in this case 9, is finally going to go up against Sonic for real this time. You can say it happened in Season 1 on the train, but to me that doesn't really count, not in the slightest. I'll tell you what though, I will be greatly upset if their conflict is resolved within the first 2 episodes. There is so much they can build off of this, I'll be disappointed if it isn't given justice. But yeah, that's basically my review on Season 2 of Sonic Prime. There's still some more stuff I want to say about it, so for the latter half of this video, I'll be discussing more spoiler-related content and just talking about whatever really comes to mind. Essentially, this next segment doesn't really have any structure, but bear with me here. First things first, I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe this show is canon. I know a little while ago the producer of the show said this is like canon to the entirety of the Sonic history or whatever, but that literally makes no sense to me. I've argued this point before because of the writing of Sonic being really different from what we've seen in the games, but that aside, there are moments in the show where it's like not making any sense. If this show is canon, why is Sonic so surprised seeing a metal robotic version of himself? Like, dude, you've fought copies of yourself so many times before that this should not faze you even in the slightest, even if it does look different. The thing is, that doesn't really bother me. I don't care that he was surprised about the existence of Chaos Sonic. I don't even dislike Chaos Sonic. But what I don't like is how if you say something is canon, but don't make it actually make sense. You can't say one thing and then do another. Oh, and another thing, I am so tired of people saying stuff like, it's a series about a blue hedgehog, why should it even matter? Instead I say, I do not care what you have to say anymore. The lore, the canon, the stories, all that matters to me when I'm talking about this franchise, and I don't need you telling me what I should and shouldn't care about. To be honest with you, I think I would find myself enjoying Prime more if it had its own continuity. If Prime wasn't canon, I wouldn't hold it to such high expectations. There's a reason I like the Sonic movies so much, and that's because even though it uses the characters from the games, it is so clearly stated that it is not Game Sonic. Prime Sonic hardly feels like Game Sonic to me, so when I see that it's part of the mainline canon, it rubs me the wrong way. Another thing I was really confused about was how Shadow tried to enter the other Shadowverse in the first episode, and his body did this weird collision thing that happened to the other characters at the start of the show when the Paradox Prism got smashed. When I saw that happen to Shadow, I was expecting to see different versions of him, but that just wasn't there. I have no idea if that scene was supposed to be suggesting that, but if it wasn't, what else would it be there for? I don't know, I hope we find out more about that in Season 3. I mean, otherwise it just feels like it's weird if it was there in the first place, you know what I'm saying? But either way, I think to kind of end this video off on kind of a high note here, Sonic got a new form, and that's like really cool. Using the energy from the Paradox Prism and absolutely decimating that giant Eggman was so dope. It's moments like these that made me really like the series. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy Season 2 of Sonic Prime? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that post notifications bell so you never miss a video from me. That said, thank you so much for watching. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?
Thank you.